Okay.
Okay, so good to go.
Yeah.
Great. So Dan, thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out to have a chat to us. I know that I had a chance to spend time with you in January at the Castle seminar. It was pretty much the best experience I've ever had in my life, and already, and it's only been a couple of months, I've seen massive changes, not only in their business, but in myself as well. So thanks so much for that again.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So this coming Sunday, we're running an event for just over 200 people who are making a trip over to Scotland. My goal for the day is really to inspire them and to share some of the QLA methodology which they can start to implement within their ACN and network marketing business so they can go out and achieve more success. So just so the guys can get a bit more to know about yourself. So we've been telling the guys a lot about yourself, but for those who haven't experienced Dan Peña, can you share some of your background, where you've been, how you've become known as the $50 billion man, and what you're doing now? In other words, who's Dan Peña?
Well, let's start with the $50 billion man. For the last almost 22 years, I've been coaching and mentoring from the Castle. Early in my career, in the 90s, I gave seminars all around the world. But in the early 2000s, I stopped and only saw that my effectiveness was geometrically greater from the Castle. But I started out as a young fuck-up in East Los Angeles, the barrio, which is the ghetto, which is the Spanish word for ghetto, in East Los Angeles, where I got in a lot of trouble. And through my adolescent years and even into my early 20s, I've been arrested 4 or 5 times, all alcohol related, no robberies or drugs. And I was on my way to more or less nowhere. I was a slightly better than average student out of high school. I flunked out of university 3 times. And I decided that my life wasn't going anywhere, so I volunteered for the draft in America to go into the military and go off to the Vietnam conflict in the middle 60s. I came back, I was made an officer, and it turned my life around. It was the first high-performance thing I ever did. And I came back, and I went back to university, graduated with honors, in a 4-year degree in 2.5 years. And went off to Wall Street, and more or less the world's been my oyster ever since. In 1982, when oil was the last time it was in the $40 a barrel, I started a company and with $820, and I grew it to $450 million. And I took it public on the London Stock Exchange, full listing, and I was the largest shareholder. I had 60% of the company. I had 80, and then when we floated, I only had 60. I was CEO of that company for about 10 years. And then the shareholders, in their infinite wisdom, threw me out because I was making too much money. And by today's standards, of guys making 20, 30, 50 million bucks a year, I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was still certainly making a lot of money. In 1992-ish, I'm trying to decide what am I going to do now. I've got ostensibly enough money not to ever work again. I bought Guthrie Castle, which we're not filming from. I happen to be in Asia right now, I started coaching, and I did my first seminar in America in May of 1993, and I did my first Castle seminar later on that year, and I had always expected, because high performance people always think they're going to do well. But I had always expected I was going to do very well, but I really probably underestimated how well I was going to do. And I had some instant successes, instant meaning 1, 2, 3 years, because what I get the kids to do is I get you to do, as I told you at the Castle, beating on you, I get you to do what you don't want to do to have what you want to have. So what I do is I tear you out of your comfort zones the first 2 or 3 days, and I build you up, and I give you the tools, which you now have and which you're operating at. So I've had a lot of successes. I wrote books Your First 100 Million is a step-by-step guide how to make 100 million bucks. And I continue to coach, and I have some great stories. One of my great stories is a young Scot who, you remember the story, had 1 O-level.
Yeah.
And he and I together did about a 290, 300 million pound deal on the London Stock Exchange, where we privatized a company called Crestacare, and we merged it with another company called Four Seasons, and we took it private. And this is a guy with 1 O-level who had left school when he was about 14 or, when did he get O-levels, 15, 16?
Yeah, about 15, 16.
Okay, so he had left school with 1 O-level in carpentry, joinery. So he wasn't as bright as you, or maybe not, but he was a hard-working kid, super hard-working kid. And he had very good communication skills for a guy that got poor grades. Well, he didn't give a shit about school. It wasn't because he was so. It wasn't because he was so not intelligent. He just didn't care. So anyway, that was one of my first successes, and then I've had many, many more. And so I coach now. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I decided to add up the numbers of the people that I had transformed their lives. And the first time I added them up, I came up with about 34, 35 billion. And the last time I added it up was about 50 billion. And it's a lot more than 50 billion, but not everybody wants notoriety. Some people want the wealth. Everybody wants wealth, but some people want anonymity. They want to keep it quiet. So there's a lot more than 50 billion, but that's all that I can talk about. And so that's where I am now, and I'm in the midst of negotiating with production companies, and both in London and in Hollywood, to do a reality show, and which ought to be a hoot. And in fact, I just had a conference call early this morning, 7 a.m. my time, which was, I think, 4 o'clock their time in the afternoon for Los Angeles, discussing some of the details, and where they, I keep saying, if I can be me, I don't mind the show. But I'm not doing it for the money, and I've already told them that. It's not that I don't need any money, but my high I get now is making you, and just as your followers and your downlines, pull them across the goal line. Now I say this slightly tongue in cheek. I may have a tougher time pulling you across the goal line, only because you're Scottish. And I know there's a lot of Scots on this call, or that will be listening. And by the way, I want to apologize. I couldn't do it live because live I just couldn't do it Sunday. And
thank you, still.
Under other circumstances, I would have been there in person to give him a fucking beating. But I couldn't do that because I got other commitments. So that's what I do. And I've been, right now, based on creating wealth and equity for others, I'm the leading high-performance coach on the planet. And I plan on doing this for the next few years. And so that's why I'm happy that I can help you do this.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. See, at the Castle seminar, from my own experience, you go really deep into talking about your emotional bank account or your emotional baggage that people carry. So you really break us down at the beginning before building us up at the beginning of the Castle seminar. What's your emotional bank account, and why is it so important, do you think? Okay, well, it's not that I think. I'm positive. Okay. I didn't realize when I started 22 years ago that how strong my emotional bank account was. But when I've now compared it to tens of thousands of people, we have 2 bank accounts in life. We have an emotional bank account and we have a financial bank account. All the Scots on this call are more interested in their financial bank account. Okay, and with the greatest respect, most Scots. Not just, but since a lot of you are Scottish, and you're obviously Scottish. Yeah. In fact, my staff that's here are probably they're trying to write down words that want me to interpret what you're saying because they don't understand what the hell you're saying. But you manage not to lose money. You don't manage to win money, and there's a big difference between managing to win and managing not to lose. And your emotional bank account
it's not the money that you got in your bank account you should be concerned about. You must be concerned how to build your emotional bank account, i.e. getting out of your comfort zone, i.e. Going against conventional wisdom, i.e. not caring, I don't mean in a disrespectful way, not caring what your parents say, what your buddies say, your mates say. You show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. If you're going to, I don't know, to bars, and I know pubs, I know everybody goes to pubs, and you're sitting around watching football matches, and you're belching and farting, that's where you're going to be 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of guys in rural Scotland, like where the castle is, that's all they want. God bless them. Then QLA, Dan Peña is not for them. Okay? But now you're running your organization with a new set of rules that you want to translate into the successes of your downlines.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and that's why I'm mentoring you. So that's why I'm here to help you. So, but it's your emotional bank account that's very important. It's of paramount importance because emotional bank account builds self-esteem, and self-esteem is the very basis of high performance. When you look at the guy Richard Branson, and you may not like all these guys I'm going to mention right now: Richard Branson, Donald Trump, Bill Gates, Ellison from Oracle, Vladimir Putin. These guys all have great self-esteem. And by the way, you can be a high-performance person, not be a goody two-shoes. Stalin, Hitler, Mao Zedong, we're all high-performance people. But it's being the very best you can be, being all that you can be. And that's why, I enjoy dragging the kids, and I call you all kids because I'm old enough to be your father or grandfather, across the goal line. I feel like Forrest Gump in the movie, Forrest Gump, when he's dragging those guys out of the battle area to safety, and not all of them wanted to come. If you remember in the movie, Lieutenant Dan fought and screamed, he said, "I deserve to die here with my men." Okay? Yeah. Well, some of you people on this call don't, have trouble with just how successful I should be. But that's why emotional bank account and financial bank account. Financial bank account is important, but emotional bank account is much more important.
Excellent. Perfect. So you talk a lot about self-image and perception, dressing to impress. Why do you think this is so important to look the part?
Well, now, I say this with respect. Now, look at me and look at you. Okay? You only have 4 time to make a first impression. Okay?
Yeah.
When you go to the people that you're trying to get in your downline, or if you go for a loan, or even if you go, to ask somebody out on a date, and we've gotten too lazy you do everything, on the internet, to do it online, or to tweet, or tweet, or give a text. But high-performance people like to do things face-to-face. And, it's just like I say, and I mean this with respect, dress British and think Yiddish. Okay? And when you look at the heads of state, except for some of the Asian heads of state, like in India or Pakistan, etc., they all dress the same. They all dress with dark suits, a red, yellow, or blue tie. Not many of them wear 3-piece suits like I do. But they dress presidential. And it uplifts your whole attitude when you dress presidential, or you dress, like the prime minister. I mean, everybody. I'm not saying Cameron's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't really give a shit. But I mean, all the prime ministers for the last 20, 30, 40 years dress the same.
Yeah.
Churchill was the last guy to wear a vest that I'm aware of, that I remember. But it's really important. You want to look more successful than you are.
Okay, perfect. This one, I love this question here. So you went to Rolls-Royce dealerships to go sit in cars so you could get the feeling of owning your own Rolls-Royce. Then a year later, you owned your own. How important is it that you think that you should go and, sit in the cars, go and view the houses, try on the watches that you want, you know, just so you can start to live out your vision that you've got in your head for your goal. How important do you think this is?
It's of massive importance. Your subconscious mind doesn't know it's real or not real. And it wasn't a year. It was only, it was less than a year. And in fact, there's an example. I believe I sent you the slides of a 16-year-old kid from London, lives outside London, who, yeah, that kid. And then show the next one. That's him in the Rolls. And that's in the Rolls Royce when he went to the Rolls Royce dealership. And he listened to me on London Rio, and he decided to go do it. Now he's 16. Now you probably don't have anybody 16 in your downline.
No.
And he went there. He made an appointment. He went wearing a blazer, a shirt, and a pair of slacks. And he's not a wealthy kid. He lives 40, 50 minutes outside of London. And he said that it was unbelievable. First of all, he said it was unbelievable how they treated him. Now, if you tried something like that in America, they may not treat you so well if you look 16. But and he said that it's changed my whole outlook. And he's gone through some rugged times. But I know because at that same time I was looking at Rolls Royces. My wife and I were looking at $1 million houses. And $1 million house back in the early 70s was a lot of house. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of house. We used to go to the Los Angeles airport and watch Pan American Airlines land. And in those days, they used to walk off stairs. And we'd stand up in the viewing stands and watch the people. In those days, men wore suits, coats on planes. And the women walk off with their fur coats and their jewelry to see, because first class, only rich people could afford, to see what they look like. My wife and I used to go to jewelry stores and look at expensive jewelry, because your subconscious mind doesn't know that you're pretending. Your subconscious mind knows or believes that it's real. So it becomes déjà vu when you set your goals and affirmations. And, you know, I feel comfortable riding in whatever the car is, a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. For some of the kids, you guys probably are more in tune with those kind of cars as opposed to a Rolls Royce. But it's critically important.
Excellent. I never sent you my report, but I've test drived my next car, so I'll send you a picture soon when it comes, Dan. I think.
Okay, good.
So next one, and I'm going to show you a picture for this one as well. This is something that I think is one of the greatest challenges that most people that I feel come up against when they...
I know which one it is.
Yeah, you know what one it is. So I'm just going to bring it up for the guys to have a look. But if you can just let me know how you recommend that people, how would they deal with this? Or how do you suggest?
That's you standing here in the forefront, and those are some of the obstacles you have to go through. Yeah. And your family, fear, your friends, pessimists, etc. To get your goal, because you know the people are telling you, "Oh, what are you, crazy? You can't do that." You know, you didn't go to Oxbridge, or you didn't go to uni, or you only have 3 A levels, or whatever the reason is. Or in some cases, and I shared some of the stories with you at the castle, you know, we're so-and-so, we're Smiths. Smiths aren't supposed to live in Mayfair, whatever, okay? It's just bullshit, it's not true. You know, I'm from the barrio. I mean, my dad was a cop. And my mother was, a housewife. My mother came across as an illegal alien in 1924 to the United States from Mexico. My mother was born in Mexico. And I'm right now trying to get a Mexican passport, which you'd think they'd give me right away, but it's not that easy. She didn't become naturalized till she was 32 years old. Naturalized meaning legal. Yeah. When I first started, those people that on that slide that you showed, you know, they said I was crazy. And then when I got some success, then he's been lucky. And then when I had some more success, they said I was eccentric. And now they don't say anything other than, you know, I'm a maniac. And I still press I still press, you know, the pedal to the metal, because I enjoy winning, and I enjoy more than anything pulling you kids across. So, I mean, you're going to have those obstacles. You're going to have those people in your family, you know, tell you you can't be done. You know, just as I said a few minutes ago, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. We're nothing more than the average of the 4, 5, or 6 people that we spent most of the time with being raised. Normally that's your mother, maybe your father, or raised by a grandparent, an older brother, an older sister. In your case, an older sister, as I know. Candice, if I remember correctly. And I'm looking forward to meeting her in a couple weeks, whenever it is. And they influence you greatly. And just to make an example of this, not putting you on the spot, as far as I can tell, your sister's been a good influence on you. Because I'm not talking about when she was beating you or kicking you or scratching your eyes out when you were little. But I mean, as an adult, you know, she's done quite well for herself. And so that's been an example to you. And she stepped out of her comfort zone, you know, and she's doing well. Well, that's what you need to do, the kids that are listening to this and watching this. You need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to do, I tell kids at the end of the seminar, do one thing every single day that scares you. I mean, scares you, and you'll be a high-performance person.
Great. Another one here is that you speak a lot about the power of association and surround yourself with other successful people, a bit like what you've touched on there, Dan. But what do you think is the power of having mentors? Well,
Bill Gates has a mentor, is Warren Buffett. And I'll tell the little story about Warren and Bill now. About 25, 30 years ago, when Bill was already wealthy and successful, he wanted a mentor that was where he was where he wanted to be. So he told his parents that I'm gonna try to get Warren Buffett as my mentor. And of course, the mother, being a good mom, she says, "Well, hell, I'll give a dinner party and I'll invite Warren Buffett. Maybe he'll come." And so she invited 4 or 5 very successful people from the Seattle, Washington area, where they're from. Bill Gates Sr., his dad, who was a successful lawyer, was there, and there was a lull in the dinner conversation, as there sometimes is. I've never seen a lull at a Scottish dinner, drinks party dinner before, but these people are more civilized, perhaps, so there was a lull in the conversation. And she says, it wasn't a pointed question, it was a question to the whole group. She said, what do you attribute your success to? Instantaneously, simultaneously, Bill and Warren answered the question with one word. And I'm gonna pause here, have a pregnant pause to give the group a few seconds to think about what that one word is. And I'm gonna tell you, they both said simultaneously, focus. Focus. And I tell the kids, focus on the few, not the many. I say be viciously laser beam focused. Most of the kids that are on this, you know, vis-a-vis your own downlines, are probably trying to do too many things. But if they focus on the primary thing, you know, they'll be a lot more successful. So, I mean, the primary emphasis on doing just a couple things very, very well, as opposed to doing 5 or 6 or 10 things piss poor, is huge.
Brilliant. So most people go through life trying to avoid failure so they don't look stupid, or so they can just avoid the pain of failure. What's your view on failure, Dan?
Well, fear, first of all, is false expectations appearing real. We're afraid because we've been conditioned by our parents, our grandparents, our friends, and the eagles fly alone, okay? They're only interested in what they think of themselves. You know, if you think Richard Branson and Donald Trump give a shit what you think about them, you're crazy. I mean, just like I don't give a shit what you think about me either. Because we have the self-confidence We have the self-assuredness, which are underpinned by our self-esteem. And so you reject ideas that will take you outside your comfort zone. You reject ideas that will put you in a potential win-lose situation. You would rather do, like I opened up the talk on, you would rather play not to lose, where you got little or no risk, as opposed to playing to win, which has great risk. And I mean, you know, there's a lot of that in Scotland, not just Scotland, since most of you guys are from Scotland, that's all over the world. And whereas you go to Silicon Valley, they tell you, fail first and fast. And that's what QLA is all about. You know, I'm not promoting that you fail, but if we're gonna fail, let's fail fast.
Yeah, great. As part of the Castle seminar, the attendees send in their weekly reports for a progress check and also for a form of accountability. Some people have trouble with accountability. What do you feel about accountability, and why do you feel it's so important? Because what gets measured gets done. If you don't measure it, then you're not serious about it. And and the reports aren't so much for progress. The weekly reports are, 80% accountability, because you have to write down what you did or you didn't do. And then the next week you have to write down what you did or you didn't do again. And you even made a comment in your last weekly report that you feel like a cunt because you didn't get more accomplished. That's good that you feel that way. Yeah. And you got a lot of accomplished, but most people don't. They just shine it on, as the kids say. And I didn't get more done. Shit happens, life happens. But every day, when I wake up, that I do what all that I could have done. And I'm a high performance guy. I work long hours. I work hard. I'm almost always focused. I'm always in the zone. And if I think that I didn't accomplish all that I could accomplish, just imagine all you guys. Yeah. Now, this is the one that I love. I love this story at the Castle seminar about commitment and keeping to your commitments. Can you share the story that, what happened when you went to meet Klaus Kleinfeld about commitment and why we should stick to our commitments? Okay. High performance people always do what they say and they say what they do, no matter what. I made an appointment for Klaus Kleinfeld when he was at that time moving from the U.S., which he had been very successful in, to Germany, with the, as I recall, the managing partner for PricewaterhouseCoopers, to introduce him to somebody that I knew that was high profile, high performance. I show up to the meeting being pushed in a wheelchair by one of my assistants at the time, who's my assistant again. I brought her out of retirement, named Vinica. She's a Dutch, she was my Dutch partner in my finance business, the Guthrie Group. And I'm in a wheelchair, and I have one of these metallic sheets over me that you see at Red Cross. They put over people that are in shock or whatever. So she pushes me into the restaurant. This is a restaurant with white gloves, tails, a very high-profile restaurant. And and Klaus says, "God Almighty, Dan, what's wrong? What happened to you?" And I can't straighten my head out like this. And I told Winneka to please pull my ear to straighten my head out like this, which she did. And I said I was in an accident in Cabo San Lucas, a near fatal accident where I broke 7 or 8 ribs. I collapsed all my lungs. I punctured my liver. I punctured my spleen. I cracked my sternum, which is almost impossible to do, plus a bunch of other stuff. And I almost bled internally to death. But I still made the fucking meeting. You get diarrhea, you get a fucking migraine, you're cunts. Okay? Your wife yells at you, you got to be home tonight, honey, or I'm not going to fuck you, or whatever she says, or whatever he says. Now, just to emphasize that, you don't know this,
I knocked this tooth out today. I was in emergency surgery in the fucking dentist 2.5 hours ago. If I was used, did it hurt? You fucking A right it hurt. Does it hurt now? You fucking A right it hurts. This tooth right here. That's fucking commitment. Because I told you that I would do this, didn't I?
Yeah.
And short of fucking death or me being in a coma, I'm gonna fucking do it. Now you use cunts listening. How many of you be on this fucking call? It hurts to move my fucking jaw. My fucking head's throbbing. What about yous, you cunts? Next.
Okay, the last couple, thank you. One of the most powerful messages that I personally took from the Castle seminar was the Jack Welch quote, just on work-life balance. Can you go into that a little bit more and just share?
Yes. Jack says it much more eloquently than I do, but because I just tell you there's no life balance, and anybody that told you that hasn't made any money. But Jack says there are work-life choices, and they have consequences. There's choices in life, and they have consequences. You missed your 14-year-old recital, violin recital. You missed your 12-year-old boy's football match. And there are consequences. Anybody that thinks any different, if you don't think that Branson, and I keep saying his name because he's British. I mean, Branson, all these guys have made these kind of choices. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. I mean, it takes sacrifice to be a high-performance person. You know, money's not everything, but I mean, it's the only thing anybody keeps track of. And especially in Scotland. You know, the mean, cheap fucking bastards. I mean, you know, you keep track of your bank accounts. And what you ought to be keeping track of is your emotional bank account, and the financial bank account will follow. But there is no work-life. I mean, there is no work-life balance. There isn't. There's choices and they have consequences.
Great. This one's our key question here. At the end of your life, if you could leave nothing behind except 5 pieces of advice about being a high-performance person, what would they be? I'm asked this all the time, and normally it's 3 things, 5. But there's only one. And you know the answer, don't you? What is it? Do the fucking work.
No, just fucking do it.
Just
fucking do it. All the rest is bullshit. I mean, it's like there's this interchange here on this call. You know, I could have just as easily, not been on this call. And now taking a shower and getting dressed up with my head's fucking throbbing. You know, bullshit. I'm not going to do this. I don't need this. You know. But I mean, just fucking do it. And, you know, whenever I get, and I don't get it very often, whenever I get, getting back to your question, one bit of advice I give is whenever I do kind of want to wuss out, which isn't very often, but maybe once every 5 or 10 years, I look at myself in the mirror and I say, are you a cunt or what? You know? Grow a pair, Dan. I mean, man up. And well, that's why I'm so pleasantly surprised that there seems to be an appetite for this on a reality show, because that's exactly how I'm going to talk. And when I talked to these guys again today, I said, now listen, I want you to fucking listen to me, you fucking twits. This is how I fucking talk. If you don't like it, tell me now. We've been jerking each other off now for 4 or 5 months, going through proposals and this, that, and the other thing. And they said, oh, no. We loves it. I said, well, okay, you got the right guy. There's no question about that. Because I'm not doing this. I have nothing to sell you kids, by the way. Go fuck yourselves. I got nothing to sell. I give my product away free. I'm getting ahead of the close. I give my product away free or go to torrent. What I don't give on my site, go to torrent. I do this because I enjoy it. This isn't work for me. If you think what you do is work, then you're not passionate about it. A big emotional bank account, and you believe in yourself, you're going to accomplish a lot. So it's just one thing. Just fucking do it, and don't listen to the naysayers.
Great. And again, thank you for your time, Dan. I'm just going to just finish up by just asking, how can anyone find out more about you and get a bit more of the Peña magic? Okay, well, you can they can talk to you. Yeah. Okay, as they're going up the, and I don't know if it's any different, but as they crawl up the down line, you probably spend more time with the guys at the top, with the guys and gals at the top of the down line than at the bottom of the down line. That's just human nature. But you can go to danpeña.com. All the stuff's free. Take a success test. Download the free $50 billion ebook. How I created $50 billion with all you kids. And read all my podcasts. It's in the interview section. Read my newsletters, and what's not on there, which most of it's there, you can go to torrent and watch the YouTubes. The YouTubes are priceless. And maybe because one of the systems that we're going to have or one of the proposals is that we're going to interview people around the world to come to the castle for the reality show. So around the world, I mean, that may even be Scotland. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to go that far, but I would imagine it'd probably be London. And watch the show, and we change people's lives. I mean, just as we've changed yours. And but 99% of the people that I've helped in my career, I've never met. So it's not everybody has to go to the castle. I don't, and it's the information that's golden. It's the information. And I hope that I've added some value to your guys' group. I wish that I could have been there. But when you think about commitment, kids, you remember those two stories. And remember the story of today. I was going to do this fucking thing with my black tooth. I was. But then I thought it's going to be on YouTube eventually. And I said, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. Okay. But I came maybe that close. Well, I'll do a show about commitment, Yeah. But I decided to have it fixed. And I hope this is not just temporary. But but they fixed it pretty well. Great. Again, Dan, I can't thank you enough. It's been so much value. I really do appreciate it. You're very welcome. And I'm sure I'll see you at the end of the month down in London with my sister as well. Very good. So, and by the way, I'm not going to be easy on her either. Good. No. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. Dan, thank you so much. Okay, take care. Okay. God bless. Peace. Thank you. Okay.